Welcome back. Let me show you how you can now add responses quickly. So I have here created a file called responses.sql, which is SQL file that's going to insert so many texts with responses. So for example here, do you like PHP? Here the answer is what is PHP? Things like that. By the way, on the internet there are so many data banks where you can get texts and responses and add them quickly to your database. This is just a sample, so you can copy this and use it, and I'm gonna leave this file to you. Let me show you how you can use this file and how you can create something like this. First, I'm gonna copy the entire file, and then first make sure that your Apache web server and MySQL both are up and running, and then you need to open the localhost and then the PHP myadmin. Now just click on the database and then select the table. So my table is called messages. I'm going to click on it, and then you need to click on SQL, and then here in SQL you need to remove this command and then paste this command, paste this one, and then click on go, and this is going to insert lots and lots of responses and texts. If you click on browse, you'll find key value pairs. A lot of key value pairs now have been inserted. You can view all of them by selecting here number of rows. For example, 500 is the maximum, and it will display as many as possible. So for example here, do you like PHP? Did you go to primary school? Can you name 3 countries? Where do you live? Things like that. Let's now test. So in order to test, you need to click on view and then terminal, and then let me run my server. I'm going to say PHP minus capital S and then localhost and then colon 8000 and then hit enter. This is going to run the server. Let me head on over to the browser and run my server. I'm going to go to localhost 8000. Now we have so many, as you can see, we have so many questions and texts and responses. Let me use one of them. I'm going to say here, I'm going to say, do you like PHP? And then I'm going to send. And as you can see, the answer is what is PHP? Because I said here in the database, I said what is PHP. Let's try another question. I'm going to say, can you name 3 countries? I'm going to say, can you name 3 countries? And then send, and here it says here Germany, Canada, and Russia. So let me say another thing. For example, did you have lunch? Did you have lunch? And let me send, and as you can see, not yet. Let's eat together. So this is how you can add data quickly. And by the way, again, there is a lot of data on the internet that you can use. There is what's called the data bank that you can use in order to insert responses quickly. Another thing that I wanted to let you know is that if you type the question without the question mark, it's not gonna work, and this is a problem. For example, if you say here, for example, let me show you. For example, where do you live? If you say where do you live without question mark and send, the chatbot is not gonna be able to recognize it because we are comparing the exact text. So here it's not gonna be able to recognize this where do you live. So to fix this, you have 2 options. The first option is to remove the question mark from the database, or remove the question mark from the user text. Or alternatively, which is the better option, is to add another statement in the database without the question mark. And I think this is the best solution, because you need to expect anything from the user. You cannot remove user texts. If you do this, you can do this, but it's not recommended. You need to give the user the flexibility of saying anything. The users should be able to say anything. and then we need to respond accordingly. So to fix this problem, you can click on SQL, and then you can say insert into messages, and then what we want to insert is that we want to insert the text and we want to insert the response. So the text now in our case, the values are for the text. I'm going to say, where do you live, without question mark, and the response would be anything you want. Let's say I live in a computer. Now let me click on go, and this is going to insert the text and the response in the database. Now if you say where do you live, and send, if you send this, the response would be I live in a computer. So now the database, the chatbot will be able to recognize the answer. So whether you say where do you live with question mark or without a question mark, the chatbot will be able to recognize it, which is amazing. So now we fixed this problem. So you shouldn't expect that users would always use the exact statement that you typed in the database. Users might use different words, might use different statements. So you need to have, if you really want to have a smart chatbot, you need to have as many texts as possible, and also use different words, use different statements in order to make the chatbot smart. Also, again, I'm encouraging you to focus on an area, because if you are so generic, it's going to be super difficult for you to design the chatbot to be very smart. Let's test again to make sure that everything is working. Let me try another one. I'm going to say, do you have a car? Do you have a car? And if I send, the answer would be yes, electric one. So it's working. But if you say, do you have a car without question mark, again, it's not gonna work. Here it's gonna say what? So to fix it again, you need to say here SQL, and then insert, and then into messages, text, and response. And the values are what? The values are, do you have a car? Do you have a car? Without a question mark, and the answer is yes, electric one. Now, if I execute this, if I click on go and refresh, here, let me make sure that this is correct. I should say here, insert into messages, text, response here, response. Let me click on go, and let me now test. So now I'm going to test without a question mark. I'm going to say, do you have a car? And then send. So the answer is yes, electric one. So it's working. It is working. So this is one of the most important things that you need to know, is that you need to have as many questions and as many statements, and statements with different words, with different structures, so that you have so many responses, and you will be able to respond to anything user says.